now, our feature program.
Long before the field was readied, before the frenzied patrons filled the arena, the gladiators were chosen. Back was last year's king, still strong as ever, and the quiet but consistent warrior still determined to take charge. The good-natured son of a former champion out to make his own mark. The seasoned intimidator, desperate for one more taste of glory. And the young prince, sure that youth and raw talent could defeat them all. These five, with 40 more, would embark in a year-long battle. A fight to the finish. An exhaustive quest for the coveted cup. February 1997, Daytona. 51 cars, 51 teams, 51 dreams.
There's no other race than Daytona 500 in my eyes. I mean, that's, of all the races that I would want to win, it would be that race.
Some people are good in big games, some aren't. Some choke and some don't.
Each 500 marks the debut of hopeful new teams, eager to challenge the established powers.
Man, this is Daytona Speed Week's 1997. I'm here not to jack around. I'm here to run up front and run good. I'm not going to come out of here feeling like crap.
And every February, a new crop of hopefuls arrive to compete for Rookie of the Year. Qualifying sorts everybody out.
You know, tough way to get started on your rookie year. But you know, I got two brothers over on the Bush side are doing awful well, and got somebody to cheer for on Saturday. But like I said, thanks for 31 more races. And this team will be back.
Sunday I'm going to be in the Daytona 500, and that's all that matters.
The first shock of the season came from newcomer Mike Skinner. With his new Childers Chevy, he became only the second rookie in history to take the pole.
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm about to pass out. This is unbelievable.
Behind the unlikely front row of Skinner and Steve Grissom were the always dangerous Dales, Jarrett and Earnhardt. It didn't take long for the Intimidator to duck in front of his new teammate for the lead. Robert Presley in the Cartoon Network car took a ride worthy of the wacky racers. Jeff Gordon then headed to the pits with a cut tire, though at first no bad rubber was found. That stop left Jeff with a mirror full of Mark Martin and his drafting posse, gunning to put the kid a lap down.
Whatever happened, I don't know. I mean, that thing just took off on me, started getting big time loose. All right, maybe somebody was spilling something. We might have got some oil or something. I apologize.
But wait, this is the team whose t-shirts read, "Refuse to lose." And sure enough, a caution helped Gordon avoid an early doom. Rejuvenated, he worked himself up through the field, and with 10 to go, was back challenging Earnhardt for seconds.
Here goes a pass. Gordon making a move on the inside of Earnhardt. Oh, Jarrett's loose.
The crash dropped Dale's Daytona 500 record to a dismal 0 for 19. But old Ironhead kept his chin up. From the ambulance, he could see his car still had all four wheels. So he climbed back in his battered Chevy and back in the race, to the delight of the Earnhardt faithful. In restrictor plate racing, you need an ally, and no one could withstand the combined forces of Gordon and his Hendrick teammates. With 5 laps left, they outflanked Bill Elliott and settled it among themselves. This late crash set up a dash to the caution, with Gordon crossing the stripe in front of Labonte and new teammate Ricky Craven. For owner Rick Hendrick, undergoing treatment for leukemia, there could be no better medicine.
This is as awesome as it gets, man. I mean, 1, 2, 3, Daytona 500. Congratulations, this is a great gift for Rick.
Daytona launches the championship chase amidst monumental hype. But the weekly grind toward the championship starts in earnest a week later at Rockingham. Still high from their Daytona win, the Rainbow Warriors came to the Rock on a roll. But from the start, Jarrett's Thunderbird was more in tune. He dominated the first 350 laps while Gordon struggled to catch up. Twisting, cranking, turning, Gordon and his colorful crew searched for speed, and finally they found it on the high side. Running an outside line, Gordon slowly reeled in his blue oval victim. Gordon's move was late, but decisive. In the final 50 laps, he pulled away to win by nearly 3 seconds.
I am shocked. I mean, I never dreamed that the car would come on like it did there at the end. I was just so happy, you know, for this team and for the car to just be stable all day long and to be consistent. That's what we're working on this year, trying to be consistent.
Perhaps no one was as happy to see good old Rockingham as Rusty Wallace. For the 7th straight year, he came here still smarting from a Daytona disappointment.
Well, it seems like I'm always coming in a bad note. Hopefully I'll have some good luck here tomorrow. I left Daytona a couple years ago, man, upside down, 42nd in the points, and we won this race and went on to win a lot that year.
Rusty was right to be optimistic. He moved up from a 23rd starting spot to put the Miller machine in 6th place at the finish.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Adding to Wallace's optimism, the next series stop was at Richmond, where Rusty had won 5 times before.
And Rusty Wallace spins down in the corner.
This spin on lap 7 kicked Wallace all the way back to 40.
Looks to be only cosmetic sheet metal damage. Left rear quarter panel. There's a dent in the left door.
With only slight injuries, Wallace was determined to get back in the game. In just 25 laps, he gained 15 positions on the track. In 100 laps, he moved all the way to 3rd.
Boy, look at Rusty. Remember, he spun in the early going, went to the back of the field, and look at this. He is about to lead this lap.
Rusty continued to trade blows with DJ until an Ernie Irvin crash brought the duel to a head.
7 laps to go when they come around. Oh, they've got Ernie right there in front of him. Here they come off the corner. Rusty goes low, Jarrett high, who crossed the line.
It was a photo finish at the caution, but the race wasn't over.
Here he comes, Rusty Wallace to the inside of Dale Jarrett. They run side by side in the corner, and Rusty Wallace has the lead back. And Rusty Wallace wins the Pontiac Excitement 400.
You know, it's just my fault. You know, 3 laps to go and me in the lead on a restart, I ought to be able to hold them off with the car that's good. I just didn't get that good a restart to let him get too much of a run on me, and that was all she wrote.
For Jarrett, playing bridesmaid for the 2nd straight week was a bitter pill. Still, he remained confident, convinced the Ford Credit team was about to cash in.
You feel like you ought to have a couple of victories under your belt already this year, and if so, is it high time to get one today?
Well, it'd be a good time to start, yeah. We feel like that we've put ourselves in position to win any of the 3 so far. We just haven't gotten there. We'll try to make sure that we complete the whole day here and get into victory lane.
But to win at Atlanta, Dale would have to pass another surprising pole sitter. Robbie Gordon became the 2nd rookie in 4 races to start on the point.
Jarrett moves to the inside of Gordon. Out in turn number 4, and as they come down the straightaway, Dale Jarrett is the leader of the race.
But there was trouble ahead. On lap 190, Dale's engine cut off completely. A quick flip to the backup ignition, and the motor refired, to a collective sigh of relief from the Yates team.
And Steve Grissom with a horrible crash.
This bone-jarring crash by Steve Grissom literally knocked down the inside wall, halting the race for nearly an hour. Grissom was okay, and on the restart, Jarrett set sail again, leaving teammate Ernie Irvin in his wake.
Dale Jarrett wins the Prime Star 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
You know, what concerned me as much as anything was restarting there at the very end. We'd sat so long, and obviously the air pressure had gone out of the tires, and I didn't know exactly how it was going to behave then. but it was awesome at the end. That was the best the car had been all day long.
Now consider that points leader Gordon blew an engine and finished dead last. 4 races in, Jarrett had won a race, led nearly half the laps run, and taken over the series lead.
Enjoy the race today.
Next stop, Darlington, and Jarrett knew the lady in black owed him one. Just 7 months earlier, Dale had been the class of the field here, poised to claim the elusive Winston Million.
Oh, he's in the wall! Jarrett is in the wall! Oh, no!
I'm in the wall.
A spot of oil dropped by another car had cost Dale $1 million. Surely that would never happen again. The same gritty old track, another patch of oil, and the 88 was in the wall again. But this time was different. The car had only minor damage, so crew chief Todd Parrott decided to wait till a scheduled pit stop to make repairs. It was a gamble, but it allowed Dale to keep his track position. Near the end, he came under attack from Ted Musgrave, but Ted fought fair, and Dale was just a little too strong.
My hat's off to Ted. I know he was after that first victory. He wanted it bad, but he raced me clean. I cut him off quite a few times that he could have probably clipped me and got by me, but Ted's a good racer.
The Darlington win padded Jarrett's point lead only slightly. In hot pursuit was Jeff Gordon and Terry Labonte, only 90 points behind. Cool as ever, the Iceman hadn't won a race, but scored top 10 finishes in 4 of the first 5. Better still, Texas Terry was going home. The debut of the magnificent new Texas Motor Speedway outside Dallas-Fort Worth was a measure of the spectacular growth of Winston Cup racing.
I think it's great. It's something that probably the biggest event that ever hit the state of Texas.
Sport's just outgrowing its old boundaries, you know. It's had to move on, so I'm all for it.
We do probably 20 races a year. We're retired. We have a motorhome stuck in the mud up here with about 5 other couples, and we just love NASCAR racing.
We're looking at a flash flood warning that is in effect for all of the Metroplex, basically Dallas, Terry.
Unfortunately, the spanking clean speedway opened with a good 2-day soaking. Rain washed out most of practice and qualifying, handing a gift pole to points leader Jarrett. The Kellogg's crew was more determined than ever to bring Jarrett down.
I'm going to get too tight off the corner. Move the rear and back 8, guys. 1/8 of an inch. Okay, we're going to put on the 4 shocks here instead of...
But Jarrett's gang wasn't about to back off.
Brad, put you about a half around in both fronts. Might be dragging the bolts up there, holding that skirt on. Taking the drag bar back, maybe.
By race morning, the Texas sun was shining, and 160,000 fans welcomed NASCAR back to their state. The new track was controversial, too narrow, some said. Only one groove, some said. And when the race began, it looked like they were right. "13 cars failed to make it through turn 1. Labonte wasn't one of them. He soon moved out front and built a commanding lead. But on lap 250, he lost the lead to Ricky Rudd on a routine pit stop. What's worse, he came away with a bad set of tires.
It's a typical deal. I mean, you can't put on 2 sets of tires and they're not alike, you know.
A late caution allowed Labonte to get some new rubber.
Good job, buddy. Good job. Come on back around here. Let's get some tires. We want to win this thing.
Running with brother Bobby, Terry moved through the field, but fell victim to another bad set of tires on the final pit stop. He finished 4th.
It was your day. It was your day if we got the right set there.
But one man's misfortune is another's moment of glory. Jeff Burton's team gambled on a fuel-only final pit stop. Nearly a lap down early in the race, Jeff came back to take the lead when it mattered most. In his 96th start, With wife Linda barely able to look on, the talented youngster held off a hard-charging Jarrett to take his first career Winston Cup victory.
Well, there's no question we earned this one. To come from a lap down and to be able to do that means a whole lot. This team just never gave up, and I never gave up, and we just kept coming back. And this was one of the first races that we've had the car the best at the end of the run. And that's what we've been missing, why we haven't won before this, and today we did it.
Texas was a tale of two Jeffs. Burton went to victory lane, while Gordon got caught in someone else's trouble. The result, a 30th place finish. And it would have been much worse if not for the mechanical heroics of crew chief Ray Evernham and the Rainbow Warriors.
Tie rods, eight frames, get the sawzall and stuff out. Oil coolers busted. Slide out of the way and let Bush pull the chassis. I need a piece of tubing. I'm going to need the welder and everything hooked up over on the other side, the welder and little angle grinder.
That total team effort proved the Dayglow 24 was not ready to fade. The next week at Bristol, Gordon took matters into his own hands.
Here comes Jeff Gordon to take the lead.
Gordon takes the lead. Rusty slips. Jeff Gordon will win at Bristol, Tennessee. Wallace second. Labonte third.
Look at Everett. He is. Look at him, man.
I actually made a move to go low, and he blocked me a little bit, but I was all over him. And I just ran him real hard in the corner, and he got a little bit loose, and I touched him just a tiny bit, and all of a sudden he slid up the track, and I was driving by him. I couldn't even believe it myself.
The Wallace fans cried foul, unnecessary roughness. But what did Rusty say?
That's how you got to race at Bristol, or a lot of these short tracks, if you're going to try to win. I mean, you don't do that at a Michigan or a Charlotte or a Daytona, because that can be pretty wild there. That would cause a major wreck. But usually in a short track, a little something like that will just get you enough out of shape that you can drive by. And that's what he did to me. And that's what will happen if I'm in that position.
With that move, Gordon had drawn a line in the sand. At Martinsville, he led a record 432 of 500 laps, thumbing his nose at the competition. Not even this mid-race spin with Jimmy Spencer could keep Gordon from his fourth win in 8 races. This was the same Gordon who once moaned that he couldn't drive the short tracks. Now, he seemed invincible on the half-milers. Suddenly, Gordon's championship run was back on track. By taking 2 straight, he defined what the season had become, a season of streaks. Throughout 1997, it seemed one win begat another. Preeminent road racer Mark Martin hoped the annual spring visit to Sears Point would help him break a streak, a string of 42 races without a win.
Mark Martin has gotten off to a great start as they work their way through the S's. He's leading.
Mark soon lost his early lead, but got it right back when leader Wallace went cross-country. And from then on, the Roush Ford was flawless. When the other Wallace, Kenny, tried driving on old tires, it gave Gordon and Labonte a chance to get close. But at the end, Mark held off a pesky Gordon for the win.
Mark Martin's a great race car driver, and all we've had to do is put a good car under him. He wins in IROC, he's won the 24 Hours Daytona, he wins all those Busch races. All we had to do was get the car comfortable for him, and we were good at Texas and blew up. We came from the backstretch and run 4th at Bristol. We came from the backstretch and finished 3rd at Martinsville. We've been coming. We'd like to think we're going to be on a roll now.
That kid's tough, man. He mustered something for the last lap. I knew he was. I knew he didn't have much, but I knew he'd take a run at us on the last lap, and it's going to be hard to pass me.
Tough to pass on a road course is one thing, but the following week, Mark had to prove he could hold off the competition flat out. The teams were in Talladega for the rain-delayed Winston Select 500. For a while, it appeared pole sitter John Andretti was the class of the field. But eventually, he gave way to more likely suspects like Earnhardt, Gordon, and Martin.
Mark Martin would like to lead. He's on the bottom and goes to the front of the field. Here comes Jeff Gordon now right behind him.
In just 27 laps, Martin had come from his 18th starting spot to grab the lead. He dropped back during the middle of the race, but never lost the lead draft. Finally, with 120 miles still to go, he snatched the top spot from Dale once again and never looked back.
Earnhardt looks to the inside. Jeff Gordon is going outside, now inside. No moves here as Mark Martin comes down and makes it 2 in a row. Martin wins.
Martin was fast, very fast. He averaged 188.354 miles per hour, making this the fastest race in NASCAR history. The reason? The entire 500 miles of bumper-to-bumper action was run without a single caution flag. With back-to-back wins, Team Valvoline ended 18 months of losing and began a streak of a different sort. From mid-April to mid-June, they reeled off an incredible string of 8 straight top 5 finishes.
It's sort of like a dream, you know, and we don't want it to end. We want it to keep going.
But Mark's moment in the spotlight was quickly overshadowed. At Charlotte, Gordon made history, becoming the first driver ever to sweep the Winston All-Star Race, the Coca-Cola 600 pole, and the big Memorial Weekend race itself. 2 weeks later, he won again at Pocono, leaving no doubt he was the man to beat in '97.
You know, every time I pull into victory lane, I'm more and more amazed that we've actually done it. And, you know, even as much as we have won this year, it's still pretty shocking because this is very competitive, and you got to have just a perfect day going your way. And lately, things have been falling our way.
That win also moved Gordon back out front in the points race, ahead of his ever-consistent mate Labonte. Martin held on to third with Jarrett fourth. Jeff Burton remained in fifth after earning his 3rd straight top 5 at Pocono.
California, here we come! California!
They said California is the place you ought to be, and Roger Penske was listening. He transformed an abandoned steel mill into a state-of-the-art super speedway, another landmark step in the growth of Winston Cup racing. It also brought America's #1 racing series back to its #1 automobile market. And those car-crazed Californians welcomed NASCAR in Hollywood style.
My name is Selena. I am a guest service ambassador here.
California's been starved for Winston Cup because we haven't had anything other than Sears Point, which is a road course, for years, since Ontario or Riverside. So this is just like a gift from God.
You know, hey, I think they built it and we're going to come, so got it. Right on.
For the inaugural California 500, native son Gordon was easily the crowd favorite, but better odds were with Martin. A week earlier, Martin placed 3rd to Gordon's 5th at Michigan, a track nearly identical to this one, and climbed into 2nd place in the points.
The last 3 months has been, you know, just really great, and you know, I'm just thankful that we've had, you know, as much success as we have had, and I hope and I believe that maybe we can keep it going. I'd like to be a contender for the Cup, and so would Jack Roush and the whole team.
Early on, the 2 favorites dueled on the track, but this would be a battle of pit-side strategists. It was actually Dale Jarrett who made the first move, skipping tires on his 3rd pit stop to take the lead on lap 97. Martin's new tires made his car extremely loose, dropping the number 6 back to 10th.
Feels like it could be the track car. Needs a little rear side bite.
Through the middle of the race, Mark manhandled his Ford as the crew tweaked the chassis. Slowly, he inched back to the front.
And Mark Martin has taken the lead from Jeff Gordon on the 234th lap.
But Steve Meal wasn't cheering. Down pit road, the Rainbow Warriors were playing tortoise to Martin's hair, slowing Gordon down to conserve fuel. Jeff would try to finish without another stop. If he made it, Martin was doomed.
57 to go. 57 to go. We got to get some more fuel.
The stop was deadly. Mark lost the lead, and worse, the gas man removed the fuel nozzle too quickly.
And Mark Martin apparently is out of gas as Jeff Gordon sets the car into the 3rd corner.
For Gordon, the conservation effort paid off. On the final lap, the car sputtered but kept running through the checkered flag. Jeff ran dry on his way to victory lane.
we've been getting real good mileage, but it wasn't good enough today. So, you know, we had a good car, good team, really good on the long runs. I think we finished 10th, so that's what we got.
With the new 32 race schedule, the first half of the season would officially begin and end at Daytona. Martin versus Gordon continue.
Mark Martin is already out.
Lap 109. Martin opts for just 2 tires on a pit stop and takes the lead on the restart. Then, on lap 126.
And look, Jared. Oh, crashes. Jeff Gordon crashes. Boom. Several cars.
John Andretti's Ford had been the fastest all day, but Martin was still poised to gain lots of points on the banged-up Gordon.
Ford Burton is down in the grass as he tries to pick up position. Oh, and there's a crash. Trickle. Mark Martin. Let's see who wins this race. Oh, and on the side. Here we come off the line. It's going to be John Andretti winning and Terry Labonte finishing second. The battle for third goes to Sterling Marlin with Earnhardt fourth and Garrett fifth.
John Andretti became the second first-time winner of the season. His win also gave legendary driver Cale Yarborough his first win as a car owner.
Cale Yarborough, put a lot of faith in me, and there's been a lot of talk and things going on, but today we came through and got the first win for Cale Yarborough Motorsports, and feels great.
Second last lap disaster in a row did serious damage to his title hopes. Mark dropped to third place in the points, 110 behind Gordon. Jeff Burton held on to fifth behind Jarrett, and the third Roush entry, Ted Musgrave, rounded out the top 10. For Terry Labonte, the first half ended as it began. Second at Daytona, second in the points. For the Iceman, the first half was more like lukewarm. He had 13 top 10s, but no wins. He even led the standings for 3 weeks, leading to the question, could he win the championship without winning a race?
Let me tell you something. It's never happened, and I bet it doesn't ever happen.
Beyond the point battle, the first half was marked by memorable moments. Leading the list was Ernie Irvin's emotional win at Michigan, the site of his near-fatal crash 2 years earlier.
This is a win that is very emotional, and I remember being here, like 3 years ago, and but I don't remember being here on Sunday, and this is a great time, and being able to be here, and it was a pretty emotional win, just because of all the thoughts of what's going on.
And how about the highlight maker himself, Darrell Waltrip? 1997 marked his 25th year in Winston Cup, and most of the tracks honored the 3-time champ for his achievements.
Please show your appreciation for 25 great years from Darrell Waltrip.
The King of Chrome returned the favor by unveiling the shiniest race car ever built. But the big celebration came at Bristol, where old DW has more wins than anyone. He painted his car to match the old Budweiser Chevy, reminiscent of his glory days with Junior Johnson. For Darrell, it would be a season to remember. For another wily veteran, it would not. Dale Earnhardt came into the year with high hopes for that unprecedented 8th championship. But for Dale and newly acquired crew chief Larry McReynolds, what's wrong was the common question.
Again, the communication has been there from the very beginning with Dale and I, and we developed a good relationship even before we started racing. But it's no different than when a new couple gets married. It takes some adjusting time to get used to each other. I spend more time with Dale than I do my wife, and it just takes time learning each other. The communication's been there, but learning what each other's thinking and saying has taken some adjustment, and I'm looking forward to this second half of the season just like the rest of the Goodwrench team.
By halftime, the Intimidator's winless streak had climbed to a career-high 43 races. But he wasn't alone in the Chevy camp. Jeff Gordon, winner of 7 races, was the only Chevy driver to post a win. The second half kicked off at New Hampshire with a turnaround for a guy who suffered a dreary spring. Ken Schrader and new car owner Andy Petrie got it right this time, claiming their first pole together.
Hey, I'll tell you what, this team's more pumped up. I'm more excited right now than when we decided to make this change last year, even though we've had some bad runs, and we're ready to go.
At the other end of the spectrum, points leader Gordon started 29th. It was his worst qualifying effort in more than 3 years, and things didn't get much better. The other Jeff Burton, found New Hampshire more to his liking. He survived this near miss with Dale Earnhardt, emerged with the lead, and held it all the way to the checkered flag. This last lap crash had no effect on Burton's charge to victory, though it did inspire another round of post-race fireworks between John Andretti and Jeremy Mayfield. For Burton, this second career win proved the first was no fluke.
You never know what the future's going to hold. You never know what's coming down the road, but I know that we work real hard and we try real hard every week, and we've been putting ourselves in position to win. If you put yourselves in position to win, you can win races.
While Burton celebrated, Dale Jarrett took another downhill ride in a roller coaster season. He passed Bobby Hamilton for the early lead, then went to the garage early, a victim of engine failure. But for Jarrett, low points in the 97 season were often followed by highs. A week later, he bounced back at Pocono to score his third win of the year, holding off rival Jeff Gordon in the process.
Well, we wanted to make sure that everybody knows that we're not giving up. You know, we may be behind a little ways, but we're not going to quit. We figure our best shot is to win the rest of them and see what we can do from there.
With momentum on his side, Jarrett headed for Indianapolis to defend his crown in the most intensely hyped event in stock car racing, the Brickyard 400.
This is racing here.
Yeah,
NASCAR coming here, it's great. Exemplifies racing in the nutshell.
Fourth time here, and I'm sure I'll be here many more times.
It's one of the greatest courses in the world, and I don't have any problem driving 600 miles each way to see this race.
In just 4 years, the Brickyard 400 has grown to rival the Daytona 500 in prestige and prizes. In fact, 56 cars, the same number that showed at Daytona, were here to vie for the nearly $5 million purse, the largest in NASCAR history.
Yeah, Daytona, is a pretty big race, there's no doubt about it, and it's been there for a long time, and it really is surprising that the Indy race has already come up to that level.
Well, it pays a lot of money, a whole lot of money, and it has a big trophy, a real big trophy.
So big is the Brickyard, Ford chose this weekend to unveil their future plans. For 98, the Thunderbird is out, and the all-new racing Taurus is in. The Ford credit team was determined to keep its Thunderbird rolling at Indy, but it was teammate Ernie Irvan who captured the coveted pole.
We're really happy that we've got the pole with this team, and the guys have worked extra hard. I think they want to show that they're not laying down, and I'm not laying down.
For Irvan, the pole run was bittersweet. 2 months before, team owner Robert Yates announced he would not renew Ernie's contract for 1998. At Indy, the morning after Irvan's pole run, Yates announced Ernie's replacement.
Robert Yates and Texaco have given me the chance of a lifetime, and if I can just drive as good as Robert Yates builds motors, I think we're going to have a long and great future together.
Though some were appalled at his timing, give Yates credit for sticking with Ernie in the wake of his Michigan injury 2 years ago and providing him the opportunity to make his way back to Winston Cup. Irvan will replace Derek Cope as driver of the Skittles Pontiac number 36 for 1998. In the meantime, Ernie had some racing to do. A sea of spectators, estimated at over 320,000, rose in anticipation as Irvan led Joe Nemechek around the famed course. As it turned out, up front was the safest place to be.
And we've got a crash. Somebody into the wall. That's Chad Little in the John Deere Pontiac.
Second caution is out on lap number 15. We've had a multi-car tangle over in turn number 2. Serious damage to Michael Waltrip's car.
Okay, DJ Pitt, this time be 4 tires. 4 tires, half a pound out of the left side.
After a round of green flag stops, Jarrett found himself in the lead on lap 58. Go. 20 laps later, crew chief Todd Parrott watches helplessly as an incredible stop by the Rainbow Warriors puts Gordon in front.
17.4 4 seconds for the Rainbow Warriors.
What a great pit stop those guys pulled off that time.
Like chessmen, Jarrett and his crew ponder the next move, all the while struggling to stay in touch with the leaders.
Just be smooth. Just be smooth.
Eventually, Parrott hits on the right combination, and with just 25 laps left, Dale roars back in the lead. Jared was poised for the inevitable showdown with Gordon, but it never came. A handful of drivers, led by Ricky Rudd, were playing the old fuel mileage game, hoping to steal a win from the faster rivals.
We might have to stop for gas, but they know who's got the baddest ass car here today.
A caution with 12 laps left brought Jared and Gordon in for fuel. Rudd and company stayed out, forcing Jarrett back to 7th on the restart. He drove like a man possessed before this spin by Rich Bickle brought out another yellow and sealed his fate. Today, the fastest car came in 3rd.
They asked us a few weeks ago, they said, what do you want? You want motors for gas mileage or motors for power? And we said, we'll take power over gas mileage anytime. But, and then when you're sitting here in a position like this, you wish it had went the other way.
Jarrett's loss was Rudd's gain. He easily held off second-place Bobby Labonte to take the biggest win of his 23-year career.
We knew this was going to be really tight, really tight. We were going to go for it. We were going to roll the dice. We were either going to win it or we were going to finish last. And, these guys kept telling me, back off a little bit. If you don't back off, you're not going to make it. And then the cautions played right into our hand.
For Rudd, the sweetness of Indy success was multifold. As owner-driver of the Tide Ford, he didn't have to split that $570,000 winner's share of the purse. And for the first time since 1987, only the 4th time in his career, Rudd had won 2 races in a season. At Dover, 2 months earlier, he was the beneficiary of racing luck, taking what he called about a 5th-place car to victory when various leaders had trouble. At Indy, luck had less to do with it than great strategy. In any case, there was no late-season Rudd watch to see if Ricky would be able to keep alive a remarkable string. He has now won at least 1 Winston Cup race in each of the last 15 seasons, and this year, he won 2. On the other hand, Indy marked a low point for the brothers Bodine. Unlike Rudd, Jeff had struggled with the sometimes conflicting tasks of owning and driving his cars. Financial pressures were mounting. When he failed to qualify for the lucrative Brickyard, he left town humiliated and nearly broke.
We've struggled with finances here, and that's why we've had all these problems. There's no other reason. That's why we've had some engine problems and other things weren't going right, and it all got back to we just weren't being financed enough.
Brother Brett was in similar straits, struggling to continue despite the failure of his sponsor to pay its bills. He needed a provisional to qualify at Indy. But help was on the way. Brett closed a deal to sell half his team to Andy Evans, owner of the sanctioning body sports car.
Indianapolis was our last race. We wouldn't even have been here at the Glen if Andy hadn't come to the table and brought everything to the table in a hurry so that we could get it done and keep this race team functioning as a unit.
Shortly thereafter, Jeff announced he too had found backers, Jim Matei and John Porter, whose investment freed Bodine from a lot of off-track responsibilities and enabled him to focus on driving. He also added some mechanical expertise by hiring veteran crew chief Tim Brewer. The team immediately went looking for sponsorship to replace QVC, who would depart at season's end. In mid-August, the Bodines came home to Watkins Glen, near their native Chemung, New York. It proved to be quite a weekend.
Let's see what as he comes to the checkered flag. He's got himself maybe a pole.
Youngest brother Todd, in a one-shot deal with his Busch car owners, locals Frank Cece and Jeff Welliver, won the pole and an invitation to next year's Bud Shootout.
This is big. This is really big. To be on the pole here at home at Watkins Glen is phenomenal. I can't believe it. We struggled really bad in practice. Made a change right before qualifying, and it worked. I mean, the car was really good.
Brett showed some newfound strength qualifying in the first round, but his car broke early in the race. And Jeff was the most pleasant surprise of all. The only car better than his was the Chevy of Jeff Gordon. And after this pass, Bodine held on for a rejuvenating second-place finish.
As off of corner number 11.
What's this all about? Well, you can only pass to the outside, and he was trying to get a run on him coming down to the green flag. Didn't work.
Gordon went on to win the race and reach another career landmark, his first road course victory ever. More significantly, in the battle for the Winston Cup, he extended his lead to a season-high 109 points over Mark Martin. For Martin, anything less than a win on a road course is a disappointment. Nevertheless, his 5th place at the Glen continued a string of consistent finishes, including 5th at New Hampshire and Pocono, and 6th at Indy.
Give Mark Martin the lead. Here goes Musgrave right now with the Jack Roush cars. 1, 2, 3.
Michigan Speedway is one of Martin's favorite tracks, and he dominated the series' second visit there until lap 86.
And Martin is losing. He must have a flat tire or something, Ned. Yes, something wrong with that valve thing forward. The left rear tire is flat.
A lengthy stop to repair the damage put Mark 2 laps down. He got 1 back on the leader's pit stops, and then came the big break. A yellow flag and a boost from his teammate.
The leader's so slow. Here comes Jimmy Spencer. He's going to make a lap up. But here's why he slowed down. Here comes Mark Martin to get by and get his 2nd lap back.
Back on the lead lap, no one could halt Martin's relentless advance.
And here now is Mark Martin going 3 deep.
Watch this, gang. Whoa!
See,
Mark Martin comes off with the lead.
Once out front, Martin's machine was untouchable. He finished 2 full seconds ahead of Gordon, taking his 3rd career win at Michigan and his 3rd win of 1997.
Now I think I know how that kid feels on Sunday a lot. I had the car today. He's usually got the car, but we had the program today. We had the fuel mileage. We had everything we needed to win this thing.
Hey, look at that. It looks like an MTV stuff.
Despite Martin's consistency, Gordon matched him stride for stride in championship points and came to Bristol leading by 99. This is a track Jeff had adopted as his own, and through the first half of the race, things went as expected. Gordon leading, others crashing. But on lap 244, disaster struck.
Oh, Jeff Gordon slides up the hill and loses the lead, and there he spins. And hits the inside wall hard.
While Gordon struggled on in his badly damaged Chevy, his Ford-powered rivals took turns leading. Jarrett was on top until a Bobby Hamilton spin allowed Martin to get the advantage. Then, 75 laps later, Martin bobbled and Jarrett shot past to take the lead and the victory, his first ever short track win.
It was a little treacherous down there, and I knew Mark was slipping and sliding, and he gave me an opening on the inside, and I knew if I could get there that maybe I could beat him down into turn 3, and that's what I was able to do. And then I got a good jump on the restart, and everything went great for me.
For Mark, second was still sweet. He suddenly found himself leading the series standings by 13 points over Gordon, the first time he led the championship race since October of 1990.
We spent several Sundays in the garage already this year, and that's how we got so far behind. So we just got to keep hoping that luck's on our side. I think the luckiest man's going to win the championship.
Hoping his bad luck was behind him, Gordon turned his sights to the richest race of his life. As the winner of the Daytona 500 and the Coca-Cola 600, Jeff would enter Darlington with a chance at the Winston Million.
There is Jeff Gordon, who is in 4th position at the moment, a little over 4 seconds behind the leader.
All right, bud, you're running a pretty good clip there. Is the looseness all the way through or just exit? I'm doing all I can right now to hang on to it.
18.2 seconds, great pit stop. That's the kind of stop that can win you $1 million. And with the sequence of pit stops, Jeff Gordon is the leader of the race.
If you point and tell him by, yeah, he's going to let him go. He's not going to fight him.
One out of the right rear, 4 tires, 1 cam, 1 out of the right rear. Go, 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 go. Whip it out. There you go. Good stop, guys. We're not out of this thing yet. We've got a long ways to go. Still work on it. Go, 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 go. Jig out, jig hard, go, 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 go!
What a time for the Rainbow Warriors to pull off their second best stop of the day. Jeff Gordon's crew, led by that man right there, Ray Abraham, 17.66 seconds, 4 tires, and 1 round in the right rear.
Here he goes. Oh, they make contact. Oh, and they make contact. They go down into the corner side by side, and Jeff Gordon holds off the challenge onto the straightaway.
Yeah, we did
But Jeff Gordon holds it.
Holy cow!
Right front just went away on me. I didn't know if I had a fender rubbing or what. And I saw him coming, and I blocked him. He hit me in the rear bumper, and I was just glad that I didn't spin. I kept it going, and that slowed his momentum down enough to where I could block him. I'm sure he's not happy, but Jeff, $1 million. Come on, buddy. What'd you expect me to do, man?
But Gordon and his colorful crew were clearly focused on the biggest payday of all, the $1.5 million championship bonus. After a solid third behind Jarrett and Burton at Richmond, Gordon scored a hard-fought win over Ernie Irvin in New Hampshire, bringing his victory total for this remarkable season to 10. He extended his point lead to 139 over Martin, 188 over Jarrett, and for all practical purposes, eliminated defending champ Terry Labonte from the equation. This big New Hampshire crash marked a low point in a dramatic reversal of Labonte's fortunes. Just 2 months earlier, Terry left Loudon a close second in points, with 14 top 10 finishes in 17 starts. Now, he found himself 455 points behind, and thinking about next year.
I'll tell you what, you just can't afford to have any trouble in staying in the points race. We went to Pocono and had trouble. I think we went to Indy, had trouble. Went to Michigan, had trouble. And at Indy and Michigan, we were going to have good finishes, I think.
After New Hampshire, the team stayed up north in Delaware for their second attack on the Monster Mile. The big three of Gordon, Jarrett, and Martin were in the top 5 early. That's no surprise. But the real story was the Pontiac of Kyle Petty. His Hot Wheels were the fastest all day, and Kyle looked like a cinch to capture his first win since 1995, when he won right here at Dover.
Clear. Good job.
But for the third time this year, it wasn't speed, but efficiency that would count this day. With just 20 laps left, Kyle pitted for a splash of fuel. Martin and Dale Earnhardt, stretching their stops all day, decided to roll the dice. At the flag, Martin took the win, while Earnhardt held off Petty for second.
Kyle's been here a long time, and so he understands that kind of deal. It hurts him and the crew a whole lot because they didn't win, but on the other hand, it's as good as they've been all year, so they know they can do it, so watch out for next week,
Old-timers used to say championships were won and lost on the short tracks. Today, short track influence has been diluted by the loss of North Wilkesboro and the addition of new super speedways. Still, short track success can make or break a season. Without them, Rusty Wallace's '97 campaign would have been a disaster.
And here comes Rusty Wallace to the inside of Rick Mast, trying to take over 5th spot.
In the Martinsville Bull Ring, Rusty proved he could still buck and bang with the best of them. He took the lead from Gordon, then traded licks with the hometown Burton brothers, first Ward, and then Jeff.
Green flag.
The deciding blow came on a restart with just 23 laps to go. Rusty powered out of 4, followed by Jeff Burton, Bobby Hamilton, and Dale Earnhardt. But NASCAR said Wallace accelerated too soon. Having warned him about that before, they brought him in for a stop-and-go penalty. After leading for 220 laps, Rusty's victory was snatched away.
On the restart, I just did what I normally been doing. I cleaned the tires off real good down the front straightaway, back straightaway. I'm the leader of the race. I start the race, and they didn't like it. They black flagged me. That's all there was to it.
Back on the track, Dale Earnhardt was busy disposing of Bobby Hamilton for second. The usual throng of Earnhardt loyalists roared to life, but it was too late. Jeff Burton easily took his third win, while Earnhardt's demoralizing winless streak climbed to 54 straight.
Larry, he's really intense. He keeps fine-tuning. We just kept adjusting. I kept telling him what the car was doing. Got a little better, but just not good enough on a short run. We was better on a long run. So, we just have to take it and go to Charlotte and hope we can win there. We, getting close. It's just a matter of time, hopefully.
For Burton, The Martinsville triumph was just more icing on an already sweet season. In only their second year together, the Exide team had won 3 times at 3 very different tracks. Team owner Roush had it figured all along.
I had expected that the first year would be a little better. I'd hoped that we'd win a race the first year. I knew Jeff could, and I thought the Buddy and the people were putting around could. And if things had broken a little differently, they could have. They were in a position to win several times. The second year is everything I could have expected. I'd been pleasantly surprised if we'd been higher in the points, but they've just done great.
I think the measure of success is done over a certain amount of years. I don't believe that we've become an overnight success. I don't believe that we will, until we run competitively in Winston Cup for 5 or 6 or 7 years, we've not done enough. So there's so many people out there that have had 1 or 2 good years and have not had 10 good years. I want to be one of those guys that has 10 or 12 good years.
There is no doubt Jeff Burton is now a serious Winston Cup player, a team player on one of the evolving super teams of the 90s. Never before in NASCAR history has the multi-car concept been so common and so successful.
If the multi-car teams are organized correctly, to where the drivers like one another, they work together, where you can share the development and coordinate the development among more than one driver, well, then you got the prospect of moving it faster, and that'll be an advantage.
Of the first 27 races in 1997, 24 were won by one of the big 3 multi-car teams. Burton and Martin had 7 wins for Jack Roush. Jarrett and Irvin combined to give Robert Yates 6. And Jeff Gordon single-handedly racked up 10 victories for Rick Hendrick. Add Terry Labonte and Ted Musgrave, and 6 of the top 9 in points came from these 3 teams. Convinced that more is better, Roush will add 2 more horses to his 98 stable. Chad Little's Pontiac becomes a Roush-owned John Deere Ford, and Johnny Benson will leave the Bahari team to drive a 5th Roush car. Derek Cope replaces Benson in the number 30 Pontiac.
It's just an opportunity to go to a place that's got tons and tons of resources, and in this business right now, that's what we need, and I think we need that to win, and to be able to work with guys like Mark Martin and everybody else on their teams over there, I think it's a great opportunity for Johnny Benson.
Shortly after Benson's move was announced, Felix Sabates revealed that he and highly touted Robbie Gordon would part company, prompting Sterling Marlin to jump from Morgan McClure and reunite with former crew chief Tony Glover at Sabco. Bobby Hamilton responded by taking the Kodak ride, leaving King Richard Petty without a driver. As all the teams rolled toward Charlotte, Jeff Gordon was well out front. But even the fans knew the question of who would be champion wasn't answered yet.
Jeff Gordon, who you think? Bob Boston.
As the green flag dropped, the yellow was right behind. Ernie Irvin and Hut Strickland got squeezed in a 40-car accordion. When the smoke cleared, Bobby Labonte took off like a green and black rocket. In one of the year's most dominating performances, he quickly put a lap on all but 8 cars. Included was Jeff Gordon, who fell back when NASCAR slapped him with a pit road speeding ticket.
A stop-and-go penalty has put him a lap behind race leader Bobby Labonte.
But then, on lap 103, oil in turn 2 sent Ricky Rudd slamming into the back of Hut Strickland and collected leader Labonte as well. Soon, the battle was between more familiar foes, Martin and Jarrett. By halfway, Gordon and Labonte had fought back from their earlier mishaps, and joining the fray was Dale Earnhardt. With 57 laps remaining, Jarrett pushed his Ford past Labonte for the lead. Soon, Earnhardt took second.
Come on, Dale, that's a good lap. She's better than that leader. Better than that leader.
The Good Wrench crew watched and hoped, praying that this would be the day the 7-time champion would win again. No, not today. The black 3 slowly faded and slipped back to 3rd. The other Dale, however, seemed to get faster as the laps wound down. He easily went on to his 6th win of the season.
The car just kept getting better and better. Todd and the guys made all the right changes, and it's just tremendous. It was like the track kind of came to us with the changes that we were making, and the car was just awesome there at the end.
With Martin finishing 4th and Gordon 5th, the championship chase tightened only slightly. Dale and Mark needed a big score at the big track. The first ever fall race at Talladega started like most restrictor plate events. 20 or more cars running 200 miles per hour in nail-biting bumper-to-bumper packs. Suddenly, the inevitable happened. Triggered by Gordon's cut left rear tire, the huge crash swept up half the field, including all three title contenders. Martin and Jarrett missed their chance for a big score. With the big three out of the way, the lead fell to more unlikely suspects: Ken Schrader, Terry Labonte, his brother Bobby, and John Andretti.
Ned, he's there. You can see. He takes the lead going into turn 3 there. Terry Labonte.
The win was gratifying on several levels. Terry had not been to victory lane in over a year. His team had rallied from a low point at Charlotte, where team manager Gary Dehart quit in frustration. And with Bobby second, it was a Labonte family sweep at Talladega.
We wanted to really finish the season on a high note and try to win a race or two, and time was running out, so we finally won one today. And I'll tell you what, the guys in the Kellogg Chevrolet did a great job, and we had good pit stops, and the car handled perfect all day long.
As for the championship contenders, they all got their war wagons back out to gain what points they could. Jarrett ended up 21st, Martin 30th, and Gordon 35th. That moved Martin up to just 110 points behind Gordon, and Jarrett cut his deficit to 155, with 3 races remaining. At the Rock, it appeared Gordon was ready to crack under the pressure. On the second lap, he brushed the wall in turn 2. Then, on lap 272, he stopped twice under caution to repair a loose axle, falling to 14th position. After the final round of scheduled stops, Dale Jarrett moved to a commanding lead and appeared to have yet another win in hand. But when Greg Sachs brought out a late caution, his fortunes changed. First, Ricky Craven moved past, then Bobby Hamilton blew by them both. Hamilton was best on new tires, and there was simply not enough race left for anyone to catch him.
It was flawless day. I never really showed what we had. There was a couple times on long runs we adjusted wrong, then we come back and fixed it. But he told me right there at the end, said, I don't know if you paid any attention, but you're the best on new tires. This ought to be us. He said, just go get them, you know. And when I got ready to hammer the thing, it took off.
Runner-up Jarrett not only lost his late lead, but gained only 10 points in the championship chase. That's because Gordon worked his way back to 4th, while Martin fell to 6th. As the quest for the Cup continued, another cherished prize was already captured. Mike Skinner was easily 1997's Rookie of the Year. He racked up 2 poles and 4 top 10s. Yet his win came as much from attrition as competition. His 2 principal foes, Robbie Gordon and David Green, never lived up to preseason expectation.
I'm making a few less mistakes. The pit crews really came around. They're doing a heck of a job now. The engine program is getting stronger. I think when we start out next year, we'll be a little bit different race team.
Perhaps more enticing were the new kids who would vie for the title in '98. Kenny Irwin looked more than respectable in several late-season starts, as did Dale Earnhardt's new protege, Steve Park. As Gordon looked to pull even further ahead, Jarrett and Martin hoped for an Atlanta showdown. But first, they would all have to survive the desert. The first to falter at Phoenix was Martin, staggering back to 32nd in the running. Next, Jarrett got jinxed when Ward Burton's crash brought out a caution while he was in the pits. Then, on lap 240, it was Gordon's turn. The kid barely kept his rainbow paint off the wall when he lost a right front tire. But the Phoenix legend is not about who gets burned, but who can rise from the ashes. And during the second half of the race, Dale Jarrett was on fire. Jarrett came from a mile back to take the lead from Rusty Wallace, then sprinted to an easy victory. The win moved him up to 2nd in the points race, just 77 behind Gordon.
All we wanted all year long is to have a chance when we got to Atlanta. It may be a slim chance, but it is a chance, and we just look forward to that opportunity.
Amid regal fanfare, the Big Three of 1997 would indeed have their Atlanta showdown. A cold rain washed out Friday qualifying, and on Saturday, Gordon became the first to stumble. He ruined his best car in a bizarre accident on pit road, forcing the crew to unload the backup just 2 hours before qualifying.
Yeah, we'll just balance them out and go back out. We need to make a qualifying run here, and we don't have very much time. Just leave it blocked off. I don't know if we're going to make it or not. Let's go, guys. We'll back it in and get the motor out right away.
With only 1 lap to redeem himself, Gordon slipped again.
Oh, and he bobbled badly, and Evernham knows that that lap went away with that bobble up in 1 and 2.
Gordon needed to finish 18th to guarantee the championship. He would start 37th.
Right now, Jeff Gordon is outside the championship window as we begin the last race of the 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup season, the Napa 500.
Leading at the green was Jeff Bodine. His blistering pole run topped 197 miles per hour on the reconfigured and resurfaced track. Martin was the first with a tactical maneuver. He took just 2 tires on his first stop to grab the lead and 5 bonus points.
You got your 5 points now. Even if it's a tough go around here, it ain't going to be but about 35 laps. We're going to be just fine.
Dale Jarrett has dropped back to 10th position, and he's about 8 seconds behind the leader. So maybe the handling not right on the Quality Care Ford. Jeff Gordon picks up another spot. He passes Michael Waltrip, and that will move Jeff Gordon into the 18th position, and it looks like he may get another one.
Though young Gordon had reached his magical 18th spot, staying there wouldn't be easy. The handling on his Chevy deteriorated, along with his right rear tire.
As soon as somebody gets close to me, I'm going to spin out. 10-4, Jeff.
The Ford credit crew gradually solved their problems and moved back toward the front. But Jarrett's hopes of a win were slim. Bobby Labonte was easily the class of the field, opening up leads as large as 20 seconds. Martin again took 2 tires to lead late in the race, but he lost a cylinder and couldn't hold back Labonte. Mark wound up 3rd with Jarrett 2nd.
Bobby Labonte wins the Napa 500, concluding the 97 season.
But the big story this day was in the back, 4 laps back of the leaders. That's where Jeff Gordon was when he limped across the line in 17th place. It wasn't pretty, but it was enough.
Jeff Gordon wins the 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup Championship, his 2nd.
Overshadowed by Gordon's achievement was Bobby Labonte's first win since this very race a year earlier. Dale Earnhardt, on the other hand, ran well until this accident on lap 276. For the first time in 15 years, he drove an entire season without a win. Still, the Intimidator ended up 5th in points, an enviable position by most standards. Bobby Labonte's late-season success moved him to 7th, and Ken Schrader barely held on to the prestigious top 10, edging Johnny Benson by just 1 point.
Man, this is the most awesome race team I've ever seen in my life. I'll tell you what, DJ, thanks a lot. Guys, I can't say enough.
Of course, the bulk of the 97 season could be summed up in 3 words: Martin, Jarrett, and Gordon. Together, they won 21 times, and if not for that wild crash at Talladega, would have been represented in the top 5 of every single race. Sadly, only one could be champion.
I doubt very seriously that I could ever have a year in my career that will top this year. And I know I won't have one unless I could win a Winston Cup championship. Now, we didn't win 10 races, and I wish we would have, but we did all we could do. I drove as hard as I could. My guts were hanging out every Sunday, and they were hanging out on Thursday and Friday and on happy hour, and everybody on the crew was pulling as hard as they could. And that's what we got for 97 season, and I'm proud of it.
There's always going to be that little place in our mind and in our heart that says, you had a great year, but you didn't win. We're going to come away feeling very, very good about what we accomplished, what we were able to do. So we have something that we can take to next year and the next year and make us a better team that hopefully will allow us to win a championship.
And so, after 32 events, 13,213 miles, the 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup season was finished. The quest was over, the champion crowned.
What a year, it's going to be hard to measure up to, and the only thing that could complete it as a career year was winning that championship.
1997 was indeed a career year for Jeff Gordon. 10 wins, including the Daytona 500, his first win on a road course, the Winston Million, and his 2nd Winston Cup championship. In monetary terms alone, his single-season take topped $6 million.
We won some very big races this year, some things that we're very proud of, and big numbers happen to go along with those. And it just seems like we really step up to the plate when the big number's there, but that big number's there because it's something that's very prestigious and something that everybody wants.
Young Gordon is quick to credit others for his meteoric rise. His God, his warriors, and his chief.
Ever since he and I have gotten together, it's like magic, and he creates, you know, this atmosphere around him with his guys, with the guys on the team, and with myself that it's hard not to be able to go out there and win when you're driving a race car that he's working on.
In hindsight, the 1997 season was like so many before. 40-plus teams scratching and clawing for a taste of the prize wine. But sometimes a good fight isn't good enough. Sometimes experience and wisdom fall short. Sometimes even the most deserving miss the reward. This time, youth and determination combined with masterful strategy proved impossible to beat. In time, they'll all be back to battle again. But for now, from this cup, only one may drink.